Hey, I thought I'd come on for a few minutes and show you this. This is that grandmother's flower garden quilt that I had gotten from an estate sale from somebody who had passed away. And it was, I'll end up showing you a picture, but they didn't finish with hexagons all, to where there was a straight line to cut. So I had to do curvy. So I'm just going to share with you. You might see my head. I apologize if you do. I'll try to stay out of the way. Let's see how good I can do here. But I cut the binding on the bias. This is left over from my long arming when I did it. I just did a hexagon pattern through there, but this is the backing fabric. So I decided, since it is curves, I am going to do it on the front, and I am going to hand sew it because I don't know how the curves will behave if I was machine sewing it. So hopefully you're getting a good view. And I'm going to sew 1/4 inch. And I'll back it up here a second. And we'll just take it slow and see how it goes. One thing nice about bias binding is if you got curves, it will bend for you. I was going to say with you. I may be bending with it. Now, her, how she did her hexes, they weren't in perfect good alignment. So the pattern I used is a hexie pattern with a little heart. I just had to go ahead and just do it and let the pattern design fall where it may. This needs to be laundered, and I will do that after I am done with putting the binding on, because this was very thin fabric. I did find out it is all cotton, but I didn't want to risk it falling apart. So by quilting it, I've stabilized it. So there's a few stains and stuff, but I will soak it and wash it and dry it, and it will be what it is, and I am going to thoroughly enjoy it. So I'll just do a little bit here. You can see how I'm just following the curve. Now, all these curves aren't exactly perfect either because of the placement of her blocks. But I did the best I can. It's pretty good size, but I would have to say that it may be, it'll look more like a coverlet, though it'll be bigger than a coverlet. I am sewing it to the front because I am going to flip it and hand stitch it to the back. like to take my and pivot. Some of these, the curve of them. Now some of it, what I'll do is like here, I will trim that. We got down on the floor, cutting mats underneath this, and just winged it. I did use some twine I had to see what it would look like with a curve, and I asked my people their opinion on what I should do. Should I cut it straight or do a curve? And everyone, including myself, liked the curve. It just takes patience, that's all. This is a beautiful quilt, though, when it's laid out. And I just answered to add the paper. That's how I found out that she was selling. The mother was selling her stuff. I'm just letting it be a nice gentle curve, and I will, like I said, the excess that I did not get on the edge, I will trim that with my scissors. So when I turn it, it's nice and smooth. I should have enough binding. I made quite a bit. I have another quilt that's old. I don't know where I got it. It could have, I don't think it was Goodwill, but it could have been at a yard sale or something. And it's a log cabin, but it's the one that ends up being the diamond shapes. And I thought about, you know, it's a cutter quilt. It's been used. And I thought, well, you know what? I could cut my pattern for my jacket that I want to make out of that. But the back, where the center is, which would be perfect for the center of the back, one log is worn out. And I thought, now what can I do? What can I do to be able to use that? And I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to. I'll just do something else. And when I was going through my stuff for this quilt and thinking, what can I do on this one? Can I add to cover up the, see, what happened is that there would be the backing. This, it had the hexagon shape, so it didn't have the top fabric on it on certain areas then. And I came across some Dresden plate blocks that I've been doing that also was from fabric from this estate sale. And I thought, that is perfect. I'm going to try it. I'll record it. But I thought, that is perfect to put on that spot. And it'll reinforce it and make sure that, you know, it's good, that I don't have to worry about it ripping anymore. Now, there's a few other spots that are thin, but I can either darn them, I can do a little slow stitch over it with a patch. I don't know. We'll have to see what I'm going to do and how it's going to turn out. I have nothing to lose except time. Let me get this straightened out and be able to maneuver the quilt a little bit better. Sometimes it's a 1/4 inch at a time. Just being patient. Now this quilt had no holes, the quilt top. That was nice. It does have some light staining. It could be that it's just from storage too. And like I said, there's a few spots that had the blood stains on it. I've learned one thing, you know, if you get stuff from estate sales and somebody else has done some of the work on it, get the name, so that you can have that part of the history of the quilt. Now, some people think, why are you going through this, all this trouble, Sherry? Why are you doing this? I wouldn't mess with this. I would have just cut it off straight and be done with it. But, you know, we like our challenges. We want to see if it'll work. And you know what? Worst comes to worst, I can cut it off straight, start and redo the binding. So, what do the old adage? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I'm gaining experience from this. I thought this backing actually kind of went with this fabric. And I got this at an estate sale too. I don't go to too many, but when I go, I get a lot. In fact, the lady, the daughter, she was selling stuff, but the fabric, she was giving away free. And she had bolts of it, different ones. And some might have been cotton, some might have been polyfill. You know, I'm not polyfill, poly cotton. But I had a good friend at the time that was in hospice care, and she was an avid quilter, and I was her long arm quilter. And she had, before she was going to pass, she had approximately 20 quilts. I think I did 20 quilts that she wanted quilted and wanted me to quilt before, you know, before she passed. And so I had took those. She gave me what fabric she had, and I used what I could for the backings. I had some of my own fabric that I used for backings. And it got to the point that, you know, you want to finish them, but, you know, to have them, they're paying me to do them, but I didn't want her to have a cost in certain things, so I donated the batting, and I donated the backing, and I came across this, and this worked out perfect for her quilts to do this fabric with. So that was a blessing. I did get them done, and it's funny that I'm speaking of her. I'm going to speak her name because she was a person that was loved. Her name was Mavis. I would do the quilts. John would deliver them. My husband John would deliver them to her. Sometimes she'd be there before she got sick. She liked to work on puzzles too. And if she had a problem, couldn't get a piece, find a piece, she'd have John sit there and help her with the puzzle. And it's been a year now since she has gone and left us. A year in October that she passed away. And I got to see her every week. And the day that I finished her last ones, I went over, and of course she had been unresponsive for a few days, and I told her, I says, Mavis, I says, we did it. We got your quilts done. We've crossed the finish line. And I remember telling her it was okay for her to go ahead and rest now. And that day, she passed away within a couple hours. So she was waiting. We all knew that. Her daughters and her sons knew. She was waiting for her quilts to be finished before she was going to go. She was a hands-on person. She wanted to know that they were done. I'm sure you all know a simpler way. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm tucking that piece in. Okay. I'm looking here. Yeah, and then from the front, I'll hand stitch it. That didn't make it there. Okay, let's